Miles Bridges continues to deal with the legal troubles of the past year, as last Friday he ended up turning himself into the police before being released on a $1,000 bond after he had appeared before a judge in Lincoln County in North Carolina. Now, the interesting part about it is the fact that many people believe that this to be a new charge that just came up, as in something that he did this off season or within the past couple months, but it's in fact from a year ago, around November time, when the whole situation kind of went up in flames about him. Now, he is only 25 years old, and honestly, the only reason why he's been given the opportunity to come back with the Hornets on a qualifying offer for $7.9 million is the fact that he was just such a great player and had such great chemistry with LaMelo Ball when he was here. And when you look at the Hornets, you think of a franchise that can't get any star players to come here, not necessarily because it's just a small market, but because just nobody has ever historically decided, you know what, let's go to Charlotte, which is fair. I do understand that not everybody wants to go to a city like that. But at the same time, it forces them to make decisions that other franchises wouldn't have to make. If you're the Lakers or you're the Miami Heat or you're the Spurs, whatever the case may be, you don't necessarily have to force things to keep players like the Miles Bridges on your roster. Now, in my opinion, Miles Bridges did end up obviously making a mistake because he did plead guilty towards a couple of the counts. Other things were actually dropped, hence why he is actually out on probation. I believe he has 2 years left on it. It was when he was sentenced, it was 3 years of probation, no jail time. So I believe he still has 2 years to go. So he'll be 27 when he's finally done with that situation. But leading up to that, I believe that he did make mistakes on his own and he has to answer for those. That being said, people should go ahead and give him the grace of letting him work through these issues because he has appeared to be on the straight and narrow. And from what I've seen, he hasn't had any mishaps since he was brought back around the team. Not saying what he did before was right, not saying we should just ignore it, but it is only fair to give him the benefit of the doubt in believing that he made a bad decision or a few bad decisions, honestly. And those do not define exactly who he is going to be for the rest of his life. Now, in order to not mess this up, I decided to go ahead and find a timeline. Luckily for us, CBSSports.com was willing to provide that for us. Luckily, I can also read in perfect English, so we are going to go ahead and just read straight through the timeline and get some thoughts afterwards. With that being said, June 29th, 2022, Bridges was originally arrested following an alleged assault of his former girlfriend and mother of his 2 children in front of them. Bridges was taken into custody by authorities in Los Angeles and later released after posting a $30,000 bond. In July, on the 19th in 2022, he was formally charged for the incident stemming from that issue. Obviously, it was 1 felony count of accused of causing harm to a parent of a child and 2 felony counts of child abuse. He pleaded not guilty to all 3 charges at arraignment the following day. Now, later on that year, on November 3rd in 2022, he received probation. After changing his plea to no contest for the felony charge of injuring a child's parent, Bridges was sentenced to 3 years of probation with no jail time, and the other 2 felony charges regarding the children were actually dropped. Now, to give some more context, during the 3-year probation period, he, who at the time was 24, is required to complete 52 weeks of domestic violence counseling and 52 weeks of parenting classes, as well as serve 100 hours of community service and undergo weekly narcotics testing with marijuana, allowed only if there is a valid doctor's prescription. He cannot own any guns, ammunition, or any weapons. He will also have to pay a restitution fine of $300. With the restitution hearing scheduled for January 13th, which obviously has passed, and a domestic violence fine of $500, and obey the terms of a 10-year protective order, staying 100 yards away from and having no contact with the woman. Bridges and the woman maintain custody over the 2 children, and any visitation or exchange of children must be done peacefully through a neutral third party. The important thing that I want to focus on right there is the fact that the 100 yards away thing is what apparently got violated the most recently. Now, the NBA suspended Bridges for 30 games in April of this year on the 14th because they had to do something. They couldn't just leave it up to the court, because if they just let that slide and let the Hornets end up re-signing him or whatever without giving him at the very least a slap on the wrist, it looks bad for the league, it's bad for the brand, and you have to maintain that level of upstanding maturity amongst the business, because at the end of the day, the NBA is a business. Now, he did end up missing the entirety of the 2022-2023 season, and the last 10 games will be served at the beginning of this season right here. Now, on July 7th of this year, he actually agreed to the qualifying offer contract to remain with the Hornets, and it was going to expire at the end of the 2023-2024 season, making him an unrestricted free agent in that upcoming offseason. Now, on October 11th of this year, which just passed us by, the criminal summons was issued. It was issued for an alleged violation of the protective order stemming from his sentencing last November, according to the Mecklenburg County court records. Now, Bridges is also charged with the child abuse and injury to personal property, as he has allegedly threatened his former girlfriend and damaged her car while the children were in the car. Bridges allegedly threw pool balls at the car, smashing the windshield and denting the windows. His current girlfriend allegedly kicked the car. So a very weird situation. Obviously, this was last year, November time, but still, it allegedly occurred. Now, he is also accused of telling his former girlfriend that if she told the police about the incident, he would withhold child support money, which to me kind of doesn't make sense, because you're required to pay child support, and if you don't, you go to jail. That's just how the system works. That being said, on the 13th of this month, he ended up surrendering, which obviously Friday, after an arrest warrant was issued for the separate alleged violation of the protective order stemming from his sentencing last November. Bridges turned himself in, appearing before the judge in Lincoln County, and paid the bond of $1,000 to be released. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office issued the warrant in January, but it had not been served before Bridges turned himself in. So he is on the up and up. He is making sure that he is being present and there to deal with the proceedings, hence why he turned himself in instead of having them come get him, because that would be a terrible look, especially when he's trying to turn over a new leaf and just make things a lot better for himself. I did want to clear the air and make it just abundantly obvious that this is stemming from something that occurred last year and is not something new, like he doubled back down and decided to be an idiot, because no, that's not the case. What he did before was ridiculous and uncalled for, and it should have never happened. But we're not also going to act as though his girlfriend at that time was in the right, because there was some video footage and some things said and some text messages that suggested that she is not the saint that many people would like to paint her to be. But I'm not here to report on that this time around. I'm just talking about the basketball aspect of it. With that being said, the Hornets are going to have to deal with this one lightly, because again, we seem to always pick up the jailbirds. And whether it be Book Night, whether it be Brandon Miller giving the gun to a friend who ended up shooting a girl, whether it be just a myriad of different guys having a myriad of different problems, the Hornets are an interesting camaraderie of players. I think he'll end up handling the 10-game suspension very well, as long as he does what he's supposed to do as far as the already mandated appearances to court and community service guidelines. I think he'll be just fine. The expectation is that he does not double back. I believe that he did learn his lesson, and I believe that if this does end up dealing him additional issues or adding on to what he already had, that might be the only problem. But that's if, for one, it actually happened, because it is alleged, and I don't want to go ahead and just put that on him, give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Everybody's innocent until proven guilty, not guilty until proven innocent. And once the evidence comes out and the decision is made, I'll probably end up making another video detailing what occurred specifically in that situation. But for now, that's all I have for you guys. With that being said, let me know if you guys think that he did actually in fact do this, and if he is responsible for what should come next. And if you do think he did do it, what do you think should come next? Obviously, there's a whole list of what the penalties would be in theory, but for your personal mindset, what do you do if you were the Hornets? Would you still retain him on the roster? Obviously, they were aware that this was likely an incident that would end up coming back up, but would you still want to keep him after signing him for that qualifying offer? Would you have even offered that to begin with, or would you have rather just decided to go ahead and stick with the tank commanding that they've been doing, that obviously landed them Brandon Miller this offseason that's about to pass us by? With that being said, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like the video. It's your boy Wraith Hoops. Make sure to subscribe and turn on those post notifications to help the channel grow and push the content out to more people. And as always, good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where you are on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.